What up? Rob Black YouTube channel. Thanks for hanging. We got Mark behind the camera. We got my friends on Periscope here. We go live on Periscope while we shoot this. My dog is roaming around. His name is Pluto. And we're in Stratford, Ontario. We're going to set up another little studio shot here in the next couple of weeks. And we'll shoot 1 or 2 days a week here and a couple of days a week in Toronto. We're moving around. This weekend, if you can watch, go look for BKB10. I'll be adding some analysis and commentary. Hey, thank you. Analysis and commentary for BKB10. BKB stands for bare knuckle boxing, and it is the world's only sanctioned bare knuckle boxing. And there's some good ones. Phil Baroni versus Gordon Relic for you MMA fans. If this doesn't sound good, how's that? Does that sound better? Because we're just hanging out today, and I'm in between moving different studio shots and stuff, but sometimes you just have to sit down and talk about fighting. That's what I do. It's my calling. I'm obsessed. I'm deeply curious, and I'll always be deeply curious. That curiosity forces you to chase answers. You find a partial answer, but it just gives you new questions. And that's why Khabib versus Tony Ferguson is so fascinating, because it is on the front end of at least part of it. The battle that I think we're all very curious about, or the battlefield, which is on the mat. A lot of stuff going on up on the feet. And of course, as we've watched fighting mixed martial arts, particularly as it's expressed in the UFC over the past number of years, we've seen more and more fighting on the feet. There are a number of reasons for that. Let's touch on them quickly. A while back, people were making more money that way, so other people started doing it. If you were on the ground and you were on your back, the guard, a position which is an offensive position where we would look to sweep or submit. If we did not sweep and get on top or submit you, we tended to lose the fight if we were on our back. Why? Well, the guy on top beat us up, changed the meaning and the dynamic of the guard itself because he could elbow me. The guard, imagine quickly, my legs are around you and my hands are engaging, my arms are engaging your hands and arms. Putting your legs on the outside, they can use leverage and push up. I've been painting. If there's white stuff on me, please forgive me. You can push up, but I can use my legs, my knees, all of these things as little tools and appendages. I can't kick you and knee you, but I can use it. It's an offensive position. But the judges saw the man on top winning. Also, the guys on the feet made more money, got more fight of the nights, performances of the nights. So the games started to migrate towards the feet. As it did, we, the people who analyze it, talk about it, the people who commentate it, the coaches, the fans, everybody, we started to see it more, understand it more, discuss it more. It became more focused. What happened when we were on the ground? We stood back up. The fight became, let's stand back up. So there was a battlefield. The battlefield of someone's on top and someone's fighting from guard, that hasn't existed much. Used to be a battlefield. Used to be a area of conflict, an area of fighting. That we don't see much. The guard is used to lock you down, to get a stand up, or to get into a position to get my hips out to get back to my feet. We don't attack much from there. That's what we're interested in this fight. That dynamic. That Khabib Nurmagomedov never lost. Has he lost a round? I think he lost a round to Gleison Tebow. That's a long time ago. Michael Johnson punched him a bunch of times in the first round. Has he lost a round? Somebody tell me, anybody on Periscope? Has Khabib Nurmagomedov lost a round in the last 10 years? He did lose a round or more. Maybe one judge even gave 2 rounds to Gleison Tebow. What year was that? Like 2013? I don't know. Like, that's somebody just says no. He doesn't lose minutes. Let's put it, okay, fuck rounds. 2012, we believe he lost a round against Gleison Tebow. Yeah, we believe perhaps he may have lost 1 round. There's maybe another one. Let's go backwards. Let's take a second. Mark, I don't know how well you'll hear him, but I'll repeat him quickly. Let's go backwards. From Edson. Yeah, Edson. Michael Johnson. Horcher. Dos
Anjos.
Anjos. Healy. Trujillo.
Tavares.
Fuck, I don't know. I don't think he might have lost a round against Gleison Tibau. We believe there's the possibility that Khabib lost one round in 2012. So let's go further. Minutes. So some of those were 15-minute fights. Does he have 25-minute fights in there? Never had a 25-minute fight.
Not even in Russia.
Yeah, well, he finished those guys. Never had a 25-minute fight. Okay, that's something. But what comes to your mind when you think about fighting Khabib for 25 minutes? Fuck, that means I get beat up for 10 more minutes. That's what happens to the rest of us. That's what that means to the rest of us. That's what that means to my man, Ally Aquinta, who was like, I ain't fighting that guy. I don't blame you. None of us should fight that guy. Tony Ferguson wants to fight this guy. And he's not us. Also, these are my feet. Please disregard them. We're just hanging out talking about fighting. I almost used the word blessed. I never used that word. I don't know why, but I'm very fortunate to be able to do this. Tony Ferguson wants to fight him. Tony Ferguson believes he can beat him. And Tony Ferguson will approach this in a different way. But we go back and we look, has he lost minutes even? He lost a minute or two against Michael Johnson in the first round. And there's the odd minute. You know, Abel Trujillo, he didn't lose a minute. Horcher, he didn't lose a minute. He hasn't lost a lot of minutes. That's why this is what it is. Look at him. Look at what he is. Look at what you're dealing with. So, and we talked about this. This is part 2 because we've already examined this. But this is the gist of what they will do different and why they believe it could be different. Is back to what I was just saying about kind of the history of how the reaction to being on the bottom has changed. We all went and we're training, and I'm on the bottom. What am I training? I'm training to get back to my feet. I'm training to get back to my feet. I'm training to heist my hips. I'm training to get the underhook and get to my feet. I'm training to get to my feet. If all your training partners do that, you spend all your time training to keep that man down, train to keep him on the ground, train to beat him up and keep him on the ground, train to use him getting up to get to a different position. So all of the systems have been developing around that. And Tony's not going to do that. And they believe that's the difference. I spoke with Eddie about this a couple times. Eddie's been he's a good friend, and he's been very kind to give me time if I ask him. He's been very kind. And Saunders and a lot of his guys, I examine them and study them very closely. And special. They're very special. And their mindset. So when you think of Eddie Bravo, that is Tony's coach, rubber guard. I mean, yeah, sure. It's a mindset. It's a philosophy. That's what's different. So they will fight him head on. So we've talked about this a little bit, but it deserves re-examining. When the game, if I'm fighting Khabib, I will not fight him, by the way, and I should not, and I wouldn't do that. That'd be crazy. Sorry for even mentioning it. But if I did, which I wouldn't, the game would be move away from him as much as possible. While moving away from him, the old Bruce Lee intercepting fist, which you've seen a million times done, probably better than anybody by Stephen Thompson. He comes forward, I hit him, I get out of there. We try to do that. If he gets a hold of me, I disengage and I get away. If he starts to take me down, I better get the hell back up. None of that is how they'll play it. Tony will fight freely. This is as Eddie puts it, and as we've seen, and as may be possible. Tony will fight freely because he doesn't care about being taken down. They say they will welcome it. Now, if you do look, Tony fought Edson Barbosa. Who's Tony's last couple? Let's pull that up, too. Kevin Lee and Edson Barbosa are two that come to mind. Go back and look at those fights. You know that thing where when we take the things that we think are all the building blocks of what makes a fight, just like the building blocks of what makes shooting something for television or for the internet, or just like makes the building blocks of how you make a pencil or how you drive your car, they change. They change. So the building blocks of fighting, when Khabib would come to fight, to attack you, one of those ingredients would be something we used to call takedown defense. It's not a real thing, by the way. In wrestling, the game of wrestling, the sport of wrestling, the art of wrestling, there's no such words used to discuss. They just wrestle. Takedown defense would indicate that I have one mission, and that is to stop you from taking me down. That is a negative mission, to prevent. In wrestling, never think that way. You try to take me down. I'm not just trying to stop that. That's passive. That's reactive. I'm looking to get on top of you. So such a thing doesn't really exist. It's a concept. It's not a truth. Would I be interested in fighting CM Punk? I literally just recorded a chat about CM Punk. By the time you see this, it is up on the YouTube channel, so check it out. Let's take a look at it. I'll come back to takedown defense, the concept, in just a second. So, Tony? Kevin Lee. Dos Anjos. Ooh, Lando. Edson. Josh Thompson. Yeah. Yeah. There are some crossovers. Trujillo, Gleason, Edson. These guys have... Yeah. Yeah. And he was still developing then, and that's probably really good for him, the experience. Yeah, exactly. No, he's legit. They're both. This is as good a fight as you can put together right now, especially the dynamic of how they face each other. But so this idea, we would typically, you'd say, I need to defend the takedown. Go back and watch those last fights. Kevin Lee and Edson in particular. Edson comes in to get a single leg. You'll see it. Go look. Tony doesn't do, if you are familiar with wrestling or you've ever trained, there are certain actions that I will take. Try to whizzer the arm, put my leg across, I'll get across the face, I'll get an underhook. There's things that we used to call takedown defense, or things that we use when somebody does those things. Tony doesn't do any of them. Tony does, as Eddie has said, he welcomes the takedown. What he does as you begin the takedown, I'll put this here, I hope it sounds okay, is he either uses your entry to a takedown to attack some type of Darce or front headlock position. He calls it snap down city. He has 1,000 sequences from there. Or if you're in on his legs and your head is not in a position that he wants it, he will use it to get guard. And against Edson in particular, you really see that. And when is that Edson fight, by the way? That's 2014 or 15 would be maybe 16, actually. Time is a very malleable thing. 2015. Yeah, so you're looking 2.5 years ago. You are seeing that as Edson comes in, and you have a hold of me. If my choice is stop you from taking me down, that is one choice. If I say, well, let's accept that I'm being taken down, your assignment and mine conflict here. Yours is take me down into a dominant position. Mine is accept and embrace the takedown and get myself into my preferred position. And that's the battle that Khabib will be looking to beat him. And Edson is the one you see a lot. We'll call it pulling guard, but essentially mid takedown, I make sure I'm in guard. And he has a whole game to it. It's really fucking beautiful. And we have to mark the Darce. Yeah. The Darce. Yep. You instead of resisting, so Aikido gets a bad rap because Aikido, the way we think of it, is a bullshit martial art. But as a philosophy, it's a philosophy of non-resistance. It's a reaction to judo. If judo pulls me and I pull away, judo as if it's a person. Judo, the concept, you pull me and I pull back and then you use that against me. Aikido is go with it. And it's Aikido, we don't have to talk about the martial art. All you got to do is look at Joe's Instagram page. You'll see what fucking Aikido looks like these days. But the philosophy of non-resistance is brilliant. So we don't resist the takedown. We embrace the takedown and we use that to try to get a dominant position. Either for his two favorites are the Darce or the guard. And that's the battle that Khabib should be looking to win. But that's a highly specialized area. It's a highly specialized area, very unfamiliar area. You grab a whole bunch of jiu-jitsu guys, which is a crystallization. Bruce Lee said styles. He doesn't, styles don't make sense because styles are crystallizations. If you think of a crystallization, instead of something being fluid, it becomes cut and dried. But let's use that concept. Anyways, it's a jiu-jitsu guy, and if you talk to John Danaher, his idea of what that is very different than what most are. But we will, if we get enough guys who are guard players and we work with them for the next, how many weeks do we even have? It's April 7th. By the time you're seeing this, it's probably the 15th of March. So we're looking at 3 weeks from now. Even if he's like, you know what? During takedowns, he is extraordinarily good at, and he has really cool, it's really cool stuff to be able to make sure he gets in guard. So let's look at that for a second. I'm Khabib, and I'm taking you down. I'm trying to get you down and pass to side or at least half guard. There's a battle there. Tony is specialized in how to make sure he goes into guard there, okay? Let's say he does. If he doesn't, cool. I am happy because I'm going to start crushing and beating and pounding. Half guard, whole different thing. They'll be playing a lockdown position, which is, again, attacking Khabib head on. Whether it'll work or not, who the fuck knows? That's why we got to watch it. But let's say that Tony then does get guard. Now my job is to break the guard and pass the guard or beat him up in the guard. And why does any of this matter? Because if you look at Edson Barbosa and you look at Kevin Lee, he fucked guys up from guard. Because why? The guard is an offensive position in grappling. I sweep or I submit. We added punching and elbows. All of a sudden, I sweep and I submit. You cave my face in. This is no good. Let's stand up. Eddie and Tony and Ben and so many others of their ilk, Kelvin Gastelum. I can't wait to see somebody put him on his back at some point because I want to see how he expresses this game. Those guys put striking back in. So you have leverage. You're on top. So again, you're on top. You can attack. I'm on the bottom. I can attack. Submit, sweep, whatever. You add punches and elbows. Hey, that's not fair. I'm on the bottom. Now I'm getting punched and elbowed. They added offensive striking back. So the guy on top has gravity, has leverage. He can really hurt the guy on the bottom. But the guy on the bottom, if he develops the right anchoring, can really slice with those elbows. Using his core different. You had to develop the martial art of striking from the bottom. That was what was missing. If you look back, even early John Jones, you can see all types, and early striking, you see all types of the game developing, controlling the wrist to the elbow, coming up underneath, sweeping across. There's a whole martial art of striking from the top. There hasn't been one of striking from the bottom. They think they have one. They think they have one. It worked against Kevin Lee, worked against Barbosa. Will it work against the most dominant top player in the game? That's how you test your system. That's why we have to see it. Because it's a system. It's a workable system. It's been proven. Proving your system against Kevin Lee and Barbosa proves the system. Proving it against the most dominant top game guy fucking fully proves it. If he can slice him up from the bottom or submit him or beat him up enough to make him stand back up, and that's one of their beliefs, is that they can beat up Khabib enough that he doesn't want to be there, that he stands up. So I know that I'm meandering. That's what I do. It is a spider web. It is a spider web of a game. The martial arts is. Every position is, and when you blend them all together, that's what happens. But you take me down, you're Khabib and I'm Tony. Traditionally, I defend the takedown. Today, I do not. I welcome the takedown. Why do I welcome the takedown? Because we've developed a system of striking and attacking from the bottom. If we are correct and it works, you'll stand up, which is what we wanted. Will any of this actually happen? Will any of this actually happen? I don't fucking know. And I'm thrilled to tell you that. Nobody knows. Talk to Eddie, talk to Tony. It'll fucking work. We're going to slice this motherfucker up from our back, and then he's either going to stand up or we're going to piece him up on the feet, or we're going to submit, attack. We've got games omoplata to triangle to dead orchard to the zombie to get the arm down to mission control to elbowing from the top to the dew claw, all this shit. And then you talk to Khabib. I don't give a fuck. I'll keep my hands off the ground. I'll stay inside his biceps. I'll be patient. I'll smash him. He won't be able to pull guard, and I'll beat the shit out of him like I have every other guy. If you talk to those two, that's what you'll get. So who knows the answer? Nobody. That's why we're going to watch it. And it's going to be awesome. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. They have to fucking fight. They have to fucking fight. And we can take 3 people and we can have a producer tell them, I want you to give me, no, pick a side. And this one will say, oh, I think he'll slice him up from the bottom because this is how television works. And this one will say, no, Khabib's top game is too dominant. And turns out one of them is correct. It'll be a blend of some of both. That's the toughest one of all to process because most of us can only see in black and white these days. It's a function of our society. It's not our fault. But we can slowly change that. But one of them may be right. And we're like, see, that guy knew. Next time he says something, bet $1,000 on him. Nobody fucking knows. This is on the front end of experimentation. And all of the variables of the state that they're in, the physical state, the mental state, the pressure. And when we talk about Kevin Lee on that night, young, he wasn't psychologically ready. I speak to him, we're friends. And he's spoken about this publicly a lot, that it was different. And he wasn't quite prepared. And even if he was, dude had staff. Dude had, do you see that shit? Look like this. This is my wife's thing. She's got asthma. Look like this on him. Fuck, it looked like this. It's like, you know. So then that happens. And we go, well, you know, if it wasn't for the staff, Khabib would have smashed the shit out of him. Instead, Tony caught him. But next time, and I know I said Khabib and Kevin last time. I'm just using that as an example. Or it's Kevin, or it's Tony, and he had a bad weight cut, and like he shits his pants eating breakfast because he's got some kind of diarrhea, and, you know, he's got a fever. And we're like, oh, well, it didn't. We don't know any of that shit. We don't know what they're going to be in. We don't know what state. Fucking Frankie Edgar got knocked out a couple weeks ago. Never been knocked out. Frankie's never been knocked out. This guy's not even a good striker. Fuck, it's all possible. Why am I going on about this? It matters to me so much. I want you to see it. I want you to see it. I want you to see that by not just taking the end result and then looking for any information that supports your end result, and instead keeping an open mind right up until fucking round 5, you will love this shit so much more. You will, I swear to you. Cheer for your favorite. Fucking Khabib's a genius. You love him, cheer for him. Tony's brilliant. He's something very special. If he's your guy, cheer for him. By all means. But don't just look for information that supports what you want to be true. Don't just like, oh man, Khabib's going to wreck him. And yeah, maybe he will, but it's so much more beautiful if you don't just look for the support to the thing you already believe. Yeah, just enjoy it. You don't know, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's so great, man. Fucking fighting rules. This fight's going to be so great. I'm going to pull out some, I've been training a lot of jiu-jitsu here at the Stratford BJJ, and we're going to play around with a few things. And, you know, when you're a lower skill level like I am, I can't fully, and I got like a text or two with Eddie here or there. I can't fully grasp it, but it's going to make me ask some different questions. They like to break guys down. Can we elbow from there? How do we elbow from there? How do we use that leverage? If he goes back up, is that when we strike? Do we even play double wrist control in an environment where we prefer to lock people down? All those technical things. There's a million things. There was something else I was going to say that Mark and I should oh, I know. So time is an issue. We want to be doing this all the time. You know, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on everything. But I'm traveling and I'm commentating, and there's, we're trying to do a weekly podcast with a partner. It's going to be fucking stellar. I can't tell you who it is, but it's somebody that'll blow your mind. We're working on all these things, but I'd love to go in and pull some little viz. When we get the new studio kind of set up, I've got a little TV on an arm. I'd love, Mark, like to be able to just pull it over and use my iPad and pull it up. But because I'd love to show you some of those fucking details where Tony, the way his little tricks of getting into a guard, not only a guard, he wants to be further along the guard into his positions, the ones he likes. So, but that's shit for another day. I'm going to maybe see if I can do that on Instagram. I do 1-minute breakdowns on Instagram at Robin Black MMA. Well, I meandered all the fuck over the place, but the reason, again, We all look at things differently. There's different details in everything. But if you just don't choose a side and then look for all the things, the confirmation bias to see it. And also, don't just choose one topic. Who's better on the ground? Who's got better striking? Can he take him down? Those are brilliant questions. Keep asking them other ones and see where they intersect and see where they connect. See where fatigue connects to thinking. And see where, how much the cost of using your attention. I mean, look at all those things and combine them. That's what I'm trying to do. And I hope some of you find it interesting. And because every now and again, people are like, you get a lot more followers if you meander all over. I was a lot happier when you weren't so philosophical. I'm a lot happier now. That's what I love to do. And I'm just thrilled that some people like it too. We'll re-examine this one in the next day or two. Watch for 5 or 10 minutes on Rose versus Joanna. But we will definitely come back to this fight at least one more time before this fight goes down on April 7th. I will not be, I don't think I'm going to be in Brooklyn. I think I'm going to have to be at not have to, I love the job, but I think I'm going to be at TSN doing something that night. But if anything changes and Mark and I can go to Brooklyn, I promise you an Eddie Bravo sit down. That's the one I wanna get. Maybe we can do something on Google Hangout. Anyways, thanks for hanging. Really appreciate it. Blacked out.